parabola. Okay, so now I want to graph a parabola, okay, when it's in standard form already. Okay, so we were trying to put the equation into standard form. Now we're going to graph given a parabola in standard form. So the first thing that I do when I have my equation here is I find A, H, and K. So this parabola, our form for that equation is right here. Okay? So A is on the outside of those parentheses, H is on the inside, and K is outside. Okay, so my A value right here is -2. Your H value is on the inside of those parentheses. Okay, now when I have my standard form, it's A times the quantity X minus H. Okay, so that means our H value here will be 2. Okay, not -2. H value is 2, not -2. Okay, then the last one is K. K is the number on the outside there. Okay, so K will be 3. Now I want to write out what each of these numbers does, okay, to my graph. When you have this negative here, that will reflect, okay, in the x-axis. Okay, that's what that negative does. Now this 2 stretches your graph vertically. Okay, then moving on to H, this 2 will move your graph right 2 units. And your K value will move your graph up 3 units. Okay, so that's my A, H, and K. Now, if you remember what the parent function is of a parabola, it's at the origin. Okay, so your vertex is normally at the origin for that parent graph, and it goes up like this. Okay, we want to move that vertex according to this. Okay, so we want to move right 2 units and up 3. So instead of at the origin, we're going right 2, up 3. Okay, so that's my vertex point. Now I want to use this A value. So that negative means it's reflecting over the x-axis. So since it's negative, it's going to open downward. Okay, so instead of it normally opening up, it'll open down since it's negative. That 2 stretches it. So in our parent function, normally you go right 1, up 1, but since we're going down, we're going to go right 1, down 1. But since we're having that stretch of 2, we need to multiply that down section by 2. So instead of going right 1, down 1, we'll go down 2 to make our new point. And then same thing to the left. You'll go left 1, down 2, since it's a parabola. Now from those 2 points, normally you would go right 1, down 3, but this 2 you have to multiply into that downward motion. Okay, so instead of going down 3, you'll go down 3 times 2, which is 6. Okay, so from here, right 1, down 6, and plot that point. Same thing from this one, except we'll go left and then down 6. Okay, and then I can just connect those. Okay, so that would be my parabola shape. Now, if you don't understand how to use A, H, and K just yet, that's okay. You could still plug in points. So if you chose you want to make a T-chart instead, you can do that. So I can pick when x is 3. Okay, so if I plug in 3 for x here in my equation, I have 3 minus 2, which is 1. Okay, 1 squared is still 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. 3 plus negative 2 is 1. So I have 3, 1. Okay, so you can still plug in points for x and get that coordinate. I just find it easier to use A, H, and K. So go from your parent function and move it. So now that we have our parabola graphed, we want to identify some of the key characteristics of it. So that's where this table comes in handy. Okay, so we want to identify what the vertex is. Your vertex is H comma K. So we already labeled what H and K were. So our vertex will be at 2, 3. H comma K. Your axis of symmetry, if you're looking at your table, okay, that's this one right here. So it'll be x equals h. And our h value was 2. Next, our focus. Okay, that's this one right here. So we have our h value, 2. And then we'll take our k value, 3, and add on 1 over 4a. And our a value was negative 2. Okay, so I have 3 plus a negative 1/8. If I multiply 4 times negative 2. So you could just plug that into your calculator if you wanted. So we'll still have 2 as that first coordinate there. When I add those together, I get 2.875. Okay, so that would be your focus point. The last one I have here is the directrix. Okay, that's this one here. So we'll have y is equal to our k value. K is 3 minus 1 over 4 times our a value. A is negative 2. So I have 3 minus negative 1/8, which will give me 3.125. Okay, so you could just enter that into your calculator if you didn't know how to do that in your head. Okay, so on my graph, I usually like to at least draw on the axis of symmetry just to make sure I got it right. So that x equals 2. Okay, that's that vertical line. And your axis of symmetry should reflect over that line. So your graph should reflect over that axis of symmetry. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, I only have one more problem. Yep.
You made it easy on this one.
Huh?
You made it easy on this one.
Yep.
Not really.
Oh, because wait for tomorrow.
Oh no. It's like the same thing, but you just have to put it in standard form first.
Exactly. You got it. There's more steps.
One extra step.
Exactly. That's more steps. I don't even remember what we had.
All right, so number 2, this one's in a different form of equation. So that's your x equals equation. That's this one right here. So a is still out front. However, k is inside the parentheses and h is at the end. Okay, so our a value here, we have a negative. So that will be -1. H is on the outside. Okay, so that'll be 3. And K is on the inside of your parentheses. And again, whatever's on the inside, if there's subtraction, it's going to stay addition. Or positive, not addition. Positive. So K will be 2. Now again, I'm going to label what each of these does. So for A, since this is negative, and I know this parabola is going to either go right, or open left. It's not going to open up or down, okay, because it's an x equals graph. So instead of reflecting over the x-axis, this one will reflect in the y-axis. Okay, and it's not going to stretch at all because it's multiplied by 1. Your h moves it left and right. Okay, so since h is 3, we're going to go right 3 units and up 2. Okay, so normally for this type of graph, your parent function would kind of go this way, but I'm reflecting, so it's going to go the opposite way. Now I need to move that vertex point right 3 units and up 2 units. So my new vertex is right here. Now I can use my parent function since I don't have any multipliers to stretch it. We're just going to go up 1, right 1, down 1, right, left 1, sorry, not right 1. Okay, then up 1, left 3. Down 1, left 3. From that point, you could go up 1, left 5. Same thing. So your parent function for a parabola, you're going to move, when it's x equals, you'll move down 1, and then it'll go right 1, then right 3, then right 5, then right 7, then right 9. So it goes up by 2 each time. Okay, same thing with the normal parabola that opens up. You go right 1, up 1. What? Which one? Because your a value is 2. So you're multiplying each one by 2. So this one, your a value is 1, so you don't need to multiply any of those unless you multiply by 1, which will stay the same. Make sense? Okay, so now I can connect these points. Okay, now I want to write out some of those key characteristics. My vertex of this form is still h comma k. So we have h and k. That's 3 and 2. My axis of symmetry for this form, okay, again, that's this. We're looking at this column. Your axis of symmetry will be y equals k. We have y equals 2. Our focus, if I'm looking at my paper here, we'll take h, so 3, plus 1 over 4 times a, which was negative 1. And then k will stay the same. What happened?
Eric's taking something.
You're gonna judge me. Can't cook
So, we're almost done. So we have 3 plus 1 over negative 4, so negative 1/4. Okay, so our focus point will be at 2.752. And our directrix, if I'm looking at my formula, we have x is equal to our h value, 3 minus 1 over 4 times a, negative 1. So I have a negative and a negative, so I have 3 plus 1/4. So x will be equal to 3.25. Okay, and again, I'm just going to draw in that axis of symmetry. So if it's y equals 2, that's this horizontal line through that y value of 2. And your graph should reflect over that. Does that make sense? Now, after you graph those, if you want to make sure you're right, you could type it into Desmos just to see that you drew your graph correctly. But don't do that right off the bat. Yep.
Can you see this top one for a second, please?
Yep. So, do you kind of understand what I was doing with the parent function, how I was moving each of those points? So, normal parabola that opens up, you'll go right 1, up 1. From that point, you'll go right 1, up 3. From that point, you'll go right 1, up 5. And then same thing on the other side. Left 1, up 1, left 1, up 3, left 1, up 5. Okay? Unless you have an a value that's different. So in this one, it's 2. You multiply each of those upward movements by 2. If your a value is 4, you'd multiply each of those upward motions by 4 instead. I don't know what fell down. Same thing if it's turned to the side then too, except you'll go up 1, then left or right. Make sense? What was it? A seating chart. That's cool. If you didn't finish yesterday's assignment, you can do that. But today's assignment, it's just like your notes, there's only 2 problems.
Yes.
Wait.
Thanks.
Okay, so say you like it a lot. So,
Did I hand you one?
but
Yeah.
she likes it, but like she doesn't want to go.
I would like help, like,
Do you keep trying to get her? Do you try to hang out after school? Or do you
I like
just,
how
you just
well,
try to
in the words of Little Sky, I like how
Up
she
1 over 3, up 1 over 5.
the girl look at me and she blush, but Jimmy wake up, I don't take her out to lunch.
So don't take them.
Or is she like, that's like, I only hang out in the cafeteria.
Yeah, I work every day.
She
She goes to lunch with her friend. And like, won't go with me, which upsets me. Jen, it's pretty. Michaela, can you mind your fucking
Whoa, watch that.
Yeah.
She texted. She didn't know what to say back to you.
Are you helping?
I guess
So like
we'll get
the one after
destroyed.
school yesterday, the one during school yesterday, like 7th hour, she She was like sitting there, she's like, I'm.
So, I guess. What is this supposed to mean? How long do
Graph.
you like this girl?
Your parent
Oh, I
function,
talking.
your parent function
Huh?
So,
of a parabola starts at the origin,
Dude, I mean,
right?
it's starting to go downhill at this
Okay.
point.
and then I know you take
From the vertex,
H and K and then you go off sometimes.
Right.
But what's
Okay.
bad?
with your parent
It's a
function
much-
here, to grab the parabola y equals x squared,
I
right?
literally have to wait for this.
Okay.
You go right one, up one, and plot one.
What's H?
Okay. To plot the next one, you will go right one, up three.
Why
And plot that one.
So that's just what you do every time?
I plug in two here, right?
Like stop.
I get four.
Okay, who's
I'll
got
plot that four now.
Obviously she has
You
more
have to
growth
go
than you
right
do.
one.
Or anyone in your
Up
house.
five.
Do it.
It's
man,
not
you're
there,
very
right?
Egan.
What?
Do we do that every time we go up 3 and then 5?
Unless your A value is a multiplier. Okay, so my A value is 2, so I have a 2 out front. Instead of
I
going
tried too hard.
right one, up one, I'd go up
She's
2.
saying that she'll go to
And then instead of going up 3, I'd go up 6.
I never,
Because
she
it's a
has
multiplier.
not
So
ever.
normally I'd go up 3,
Yeah, I saw him text me.
but I have to multiply that A value in.
Hey,
So
do
I'm
you
gonna go up 6
like it when
instead.
guys?
So you just multiply the H and the K.
No.
Okay,
So that's the same.
This one girl?
That's the same thing that he's in.
I don't know, I went down 6.
Okay.
But she.
Right, I multiplied in this 2 to my down value. So normally I would go down 1, but I have to multiply 1 by 2 to go to my next point. From there, I normally go down 3, but I have to multiply by 2, so I'm going down 6.
Since this is a 4, you multiply by 4.
Yes.
Just act. Act like you don't care. If you,
Yes.
Okay, I should back
then she'll realize.
I should like crank that down.
That's what you have.